Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome into our latest live show. It's the 2nd of August, 2026, and I'm Carey Holzman today to review a new mini PC. Are you guys ready for this? Are you ready? I don't know if you'll ever be ready for this because, well, I'm just going to show you an image, and then I hope you're sitting down because I don't want you to fall down and hurt yourself. But take a look at what we're reviewing today. It's the $6,000 GMK Tech Neo X1 Pro AI. No. There's no way in the world you think I'm going to spend $6,000 or even have that budget to buy that. I don't know what GMK Tech is thinking. We are not reviewing that today. Did I scare you? Holy cow. Woo! $6,000 and people buy it to play games on it? Really? You could save more than half and buy an actual gaming computer that performs better. Who's that for? That's for developers. That's for people who will write software with it that you will one day purchase. That's who that's for. So, holy cow. Holy cow. Just when you thought the economy couldn't get any worse. 32 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage, really? $6,000? You know, you could buy a pretty nice used car that'll last a lot longer. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. But I'd sure like to have some of whatever they're smoking over there at GMK Tech because it sounds great. I can't imagine they sell many of those. But we're not going to review that ever. Quite frankly, that's not within the show's budget, and I don't think it's within any of our viewers' budgets. I don't know who it's for. Instead, we're going to come down to earth here for a high-end machine that actually performs pretty damn close in many ways to that I just showed you, unless you need it for AI processing, and then everything's different. But other than that, also the graphics card in that, the 8060S, which is part of that AMD Strix processor, is better than the built-in video here. So definitely if you want better gaming or you want better AI processing, Minisforum makes a machine better than that, or the same as far as the specs go, for about half the price. Just so you know, the MS S1 and the MS02 and now the MS03, Minisforum doesn't have a machine that's more than $3,500, and that's with 128 gigs of RAM already installed on it. And those machines, the RAM is soldered in too. On all these AI Strix machines, it's all soldered in. So not only are they the most expensive machines you can buy, but that as well. So anyway, whew, did I scare you? Wake up, it's Sunday, let's go. Welcome in, everybody. I want to remind you that our friends over at VIP-URCDKEys are the place where I buy my Windows and Office license keys for my business, for my clients. I need to buy from a place that's real, that's legitimate, that stands behind the sale, not some sketchy seller on some sketchy website I've never heard of, or eBay or Etsy or any of these other places where the scammers like to hang out. And the product keys, well, first of all, let me show you. If you look at one of my past videos here and you scroll into that, underneath the video, there's a gray box on the left, and then it says more. Click on where it says more, and that opens up our video description with all the links to everything we talk about. And that includes the links for the Office and Microsoft products. They're discounted. In fact, I need to go back and update pricing because the exchange rate has changed since I made this video, but not by much. Let's say here I click on the fact I want Windows 11 Pro. Just hit the Buy Now button, and it's going to need you to sign in. Sign in is if you don't have an account, it's free to make one, but they need to be able to send a receipt and product key and download link to you. You're not just going to post it publicly because that would be stupid. And if you want to save some money after you sign in, before you make the purchase, put my name in the promotion code area where it says Carey and hit apply. You'll see the price goes down by 25% if you do that. Then click the submit order button. And there you've got all your standard ways of paying for anything that you would buy online. It's all the same. Nothing's different buying this online than buying anything else online. So whatever way you feel most comfortable paying, fill out the forms that are required based on your payment method. And within 2 minutes of submitting your payment, you'll get an email. And that email will contain And I say 2 minutes, it's approximately 2 minutes. It might be a little bit faster, a little bit slower. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend, if it's the middle of the night, anytime, all year round. Holiday, no excuse. Within about 2 minutes, you get that email with a confirmation of your purchase, a download link, instructions, and the product key. The instructions are there if you don't already have Microsoft Office. Normally, like for me, I install Office and Windows a lot, so I just have them. So all I need is the product key, and I ignore all the instructions because, you know, I've done it dozens of times. If you've never done it before, just follow their steps. If you have any problems, they have 24/7 tech support. You'll just chat to them, and they will resolve your problem. If they don't resolve your problem, you reach out to me, and I will resolve it, guaranteed. The reason I can make that guarantee is I want to make sure that if you are buying a product that I endorse, so I don't endorse much here. Like when I do these reviews, like I like a lot of Minisforum stuff, but at the same time, depending on what the machine is, may determine whether or not that's something that I would stand 100% behind or I would use. And that takes time on new products to just evaluate how they hold up. And we've been doing the Windows and Office keys with these folks now for about 3 or 4 years, and it's just been solid. And if there's ever been a problem, it's very few and far between, and they always take care of it. If I have to step in and take care of it, I will, because you're my #1 priority. And I want to make sure that you either have the product that you asked for or you get a refund, even if I pay for it out of my own pocket, even though I'm not profiting if you buy it or not. It's not an affiliate link. If you don't use the promotion code, you don't save 25% off that discounted price, which is a pretty good price anyway. But I don't make any less money or any more money if you decide to use that promo code. If you don't want to use the links in the video description, don't use them. You want to go to the website and search through their software to find Windows 11 and you know, see 11 different versions of it, and you're not sure which one to buy, I'm not stopping you. I'm just trying to make it easier for you. And I'm trying to give you peace of mind that if you follow my steps and do it the way I suggest, you're just going to be successful 100% of the time. And I'm so confident of that I will personally back it up. So it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to do something. And I stand behind what I say. Don't believe me? Try it and see for yourself. If I find out, you know, that I'm having to refund people's money out of my own pocket over and over and over again, you think I'm going to keep endorsing them? So they're highly motivated to make sure you're happy, because they wouldn't want to lose, you know, the potential of sales in our audience in the future. So they're motivated to do the right thing. I'm motivated to keep you coming back and to earn your trust and loyalty. And I have to do that anyway with my real customers. You know, when I say real, talking about the people I provide managed services to, that rely on me to provide them with quality service, which means quality parts, good prices, fast service, get it done right the first time. All the things that, you know, think of it like being in the military. If you're at home and you decide you want to wake up or sleep in, it's on you. If you're in the military, you're getting up when you're told to get up. And if you don't do what you're told, if you don't follow the processes, you probably aren't going to find yourself in the military much longer. And I don't want a dishonorable discharge from my clients. If we decide to go separate ways, I'd like that to be mutual. I mean, that's what I'd like. So enthusiasts don't have the rigid processes that I have to have. So, and that way I just extend that same out to you guys. And Mara says, we've got email. All right, well, again, the links for VIP-URCD keys are in our video notes, along with today's review, which is the Minisforum NAB9S. We've reviewed the NAB9 and the NAB9 Lite, I think is what it was called. And this is a saving grace, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But first, a shout out to our friend Buster out there in Edinburgh. Thank you for a very generous contribution, extremely generous, Buster. You know, sometimes people mistake kindness for weakness, and Buster was telling us someone tried to break into his car last night, late at night, and I will tell you what, there's nothing weak about Buster, but he's extraordinarily kind. The last person on earth that deserves to have anybody go and try and break into their car. Now, I guess they didn't get in or anything, but just the fact that they tried. But anyway, could have been worse. And, you know, security cameras, cheap enough now. You can get Wi-Fi, battery-operated, rechargeable security cameras that only need to be charged once every few months. They're weatherproof, completely wireless. You just 2 screws to the side of the house, you're good to go. They even have them solar powered where you don't even have to take them down and charge them. As long as they've got a couple hours of sunlight every day, which I don't know if they have that in Scotland. But, and he does have cameras, but the point is you can never have too many. That's all I'm saying. So thank you, Buster. Sorry that happened to you, my friend, but luckily it's just, they didn't do anything, but they sure did try though, didn't they? Let me take a look in the email and see what else we've got in there, since Mara said we've got another message. And this one comes from, Frankie B., another very generous member. Carey and Mara. Frankie says, thank you for the great work you're doing, and thank you for the great job you did on my mini PC. Frankie, you're so generous. You're so kind. If there's anything I can ever do for you, and for any of you, by the way, reach out and let me know. I'm happy to do whatever I can. Frankie's been so generous. I'll tell you what, you know, Frankie could have his pick of the litter at this point if he wants any of these mini PCs, because he's already more than paid for them. So you reach out anytime. I owe you one, at least one. And I can't tell you how much it means to me. So thank you. And to all of our members, everybody in green, thank you for your membership. It's more important than ever. You know, right now everything's tight for everybody. I understand. It's economy's getting a little bit tight, and thankfully you guys are still there with me and hanging on, so we can hang on too. We'll get through it. We will get through it. Got each other's back, man. If there's anything I can do to help you, reach out. That's what I'm here for. If it's something I can do, I'm happy to help any of you. And without you guys, well, we wouldn't even know each other, or we would have used to know each other in most cases, because the YouTube channel is what brings us together. It's this community, and it's your support that keeps the community existing when the economy suggests it shouldn't. So I don't know what to say about that, but other than what I've said, we wouldn't be here without you. We did buy this from Amazon. And we're going to talk about the Minisforum NAB9S. But first, let me jump into the chat room and say hello to everybody. If I can find the chat room. Here we go. Oh, Charles Eslick renewed his membership. Now a member for 50 months. Wow, thank you, Charles. He says, happy Sunday. Our friend Rick Lakes out there in Minnesota with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Rick. Good to see you here, my friend. Gawoon Peter out there in the Netherlands with a €1 super chat, and thank you, Peter. And saying hello to Arnold Albert and Isaiah, Sean Skinner and Eddie Casanova, Michael Lavelle and Luke Greenia, all joining us here, along with Gary Tatum and David Graham, Victor Torres, Jim Kenny, Andy W6AD. Oh, Andy's going to love this one. Bruce Baker Jr. joining us, saying hello. There's also Richard DeFries, Xander Vanderhoven, which I also believe joins us from the Netherlands. John Lewis from Brazil, the state of Bahia in Brazil. Brian Weber says hello. Rockabilly Jace says, I fooled him. $6,000 babies. You gotta be out of your mind. $6,000. Let's see. Bill Holmes says hello. So Bill Holmes and W.E. Holmes are two different people, or hold on a minute, where did W.E. Holmes go? Oh, I see. Okay, my bad. So yeah, Bill Holmes and W. Holmes, I think that's the same thing. Ian Bruce says hello. Carey, I just bought a 32 terabyte SSD. Just wondered if this could be a scam. Well, I mean, here's one thing you could easily do. If we open, let me get a browser open here, and we'll share the screen with you. And this is one way that you don't have to rely on me if you're just showing some very simple things. Let's go to my window capture. That'll bring up Google here, and we'll say, is there a 32 terabyte SSD for sale? So 32 terabyte drive are for sale, though they are mostly enterprise, multi-drive RAID enclosures, yada, 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 and typically start, somewhere between $5,200 and $9,800. So here on Amazon, you see it says 32 terabyte SSD. This is a mechanical drive. It's not a solid state drive. If we go to Gemini.google.com, you can have a conversation. I just bought a 32 terabyte SSD. Is it a scam? Unless you paid several $1,000s, yes, it's almost certainly a scam. If you bought this drive on Amazon, eBay, AliExpress, or Temu for anywhere under $1,000, sometimes they list them for $20 to $80, you've been sold a fake drive. Consumer SSD limits typically 4 terabyte or 8 terabyte. It's pretty hard to find the 8s, and the 8s are around, last I checked, they're over $1,000 for the 8 terabytes. You might be able to get one for like $900 if you look hard enough, but yeah. And then the 32 terabyte SSDs, those are like server SSDs. Those are a lot more money. So the trick is in the price. Here's how the trick works. What the Windows sees is 32 terabytes. When you get it and you plug it in, it'll say it's 32 terabytes. But what it really is a cheap 32 gigabyte SD card. Those are pretty inexpensive. And then they usually hot melt glue them into a metal case, solder some cables on, and it's 100% fake. And it's been going on for years and years and years. You can download a free utility called H2 Test W. Just Google it if you want to test the drive when you receive it. But I can guarantee, unless that's an enterprise drive that's multiple thousands of dollars, it will fail the test almost immediately. So in short, you were more than likely scammed unless you have a lot more money than most people to afford something like that. And the kind of equipment that would take an enterprise level drive, which most of us don't have either. So there you go. I appreciate the question, and I hope you're able to get a refund or cancel the order. There's Ron Hillier joining us there from Illinois, and Mike Gamer says hello. There's Stephen Detroit joining us from South Africa. Philip Jones says hello, as does Mark Gaines in Northern Ireland. And let's see, I think I'm missing a few people here. David Herzog says hello, and there's Edward Bass. Tech Smart Computers joining us here in the live chat. Nextverse says hello in the chat room. Dave Hall says hello from Bristol, Wisconsin. I think that catches me up. Ian Bruce said they were 35 pounds each. Yeah, so if it was 35 pounds for a 32 terabyte drive. If you're interested in that, I got a bridge I'll sell you for $1. That's the old joke, right? It's a bridge in New York, Brooklyn Bridge, maybe you've heard of it. $1, it's yours. Maybe some beachfront property in Arizona. It could be true if we have one good earthquake, take California right off the edge, and suddenly that property is going to be worth a lot more. Used to be desert, now to be beach. Yeah, that's all fake. It's all fake. All you have to do is look at the price. That's your dead giveaway. Well, you know, what kind of, like if you went on Amazon or something and you were curious how much a $35 SSD will buy you as far as capacity, you'll pretty much see the same number over and over and over again. And this number is not close. This number is like comparing buying a grain of sand for $35 to buying a mountain for $35. It should be very obvious that's a scam. So that's what to look for if you didn't know. But I hope you can cancel it or, you know, have some protection with your payment method. It's definitely not real. It will appear to be real, but it will fail any test. And if you decide to keep it, if you can't return it, what I would do is I would turn on a camera and I would open it up and I would make a video showing the inside is just a big empty case with hot melt glue. You know, like some 5-year-old kid had a little experiment with a hot melt glue gun, because that's all it is. All right, and that's been going on for a long time. So there you go. Keep your heads up for that. So let's see. Oh, Prateva joins us from Missouri, and John Lewis says Bahia. Is that, was it? I'm not quite sure how to say some of the foreign country names where the certain letters are pronounced different. Bahia, Brazil. I'll try better. Try to do better. And Rockabilly Chase says hello from Idaho. Right on. Okay, guys. So the Minisforum NAB9S. Now, if you remember, we did the NAB9 computer. It's been a couple of years now. And then we did the NAB9S Lite. No, sorry, the NAB9 Lite. And, you know, I thought that was the end of the NAB9 series. But these folks at Minisforum, I don't think they sleep. No sooner than we catch up with their latest and greatest innovations like the MS03 or the N5 NAS Max, you'd think they'd take a break for a little bit, rest. No, because what's happened in the market with the price of RAM and storage is the older hardware is more appealing now, because you can get hardware that was perfectly fine a couple of years ago, and they can still buy the chips for it and be able to sell that for less money. So for example, a NAB9 is running a 13900 processor. Now for what's a 13900? That's a 3-year-old, it's at least 3 years old chip. In other words, when Intel introduced the 13th generation of processors, they also shortly thereafter released the 14th generation, which really wasn't a 14th generation. Intel marketing lied to you. What they did is they took the 13th gen and they just spit shined it, and they put a 14 on it and sold it for a few dollars more. And yeah, they clocked it, but under the hood, it was the exact same thing. It wasn't a different generation. They lied. So the 14th gen and the 13th gen are essentially the same. And since the 13th gen is older, it's worth less. Because it's worth less, it's cheaper to buy and produce today, and it only takes DDR4 RAM, which is much cheaper and more plentiful than DDR5. If you say, well, if it's so good, Carey, what do you use? Well, that computer's an 11900. That's even 2 years older. That's 5 years old. And that's what we use for streaming, and I'm using 1.7% of the CPU power to broadcast worldwide in 4K with 4 video inputs all at the same time. We're barely scratching the surface of an 11th gen processor. You say, okay, well, what about your laptop? You say you have a Samsung Galaxy Book. I do. And doesn't it have soldered on RAM? It does. And what was the processor again? 13900. Haven't you had that a few years? Yes, I have. Are you going to upgrade it? Why? The 13900 is so good. But Carey, don't you have access to all these other computers with the ultra processors and the AI processors? I do. There's a stack of them right here. But you don't use those. For the way I use a computer, it'd be like giving a Ferrari to somebody who never drives more than 40 miles an hour. They don't care if it's a Ferrari or a Toyota Corolla. They're still driving it the same. What's the point? So that doesn't mean that the Ferrari's not more desirable or that it's not worth more, but it won't change how I drive it. I'm still driving the same way, so why get rid of all reliable, in this case my Galaxy Book 4, that I've got all configured exactly the way I like it. It's snappy, it's quick, why would I just for no reason at all go, well, let's just start over with something else? When I'm all done with all that work, it still works exactly the same, because I'm not even utilizing the 13900. So some people just see the big shiny thing and they want it, and there's no logic to it. And I'm thinking about the money, and I'm thinking about the time and effort to switch it out. So when it comes to more practical thinking, the NAB9S probably makes more sense for most people, because this is a high-end flagship computer 3 years ago. Okay, this was the top of the mountain 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, the top of the mountain cost a lot more money than it does today. Let me show you. Let's go over to let's go to Amazon's website here to see the listing for the NAB9S to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Okay, check this out. You see here it says $775, and you might be saying that's not cheap. Minisforum offers this without any RAM or storage in it, no operating system, for $400. What you're looking at is the cost of the RAM and storage added on to $400. Because this unit has 32 gigs of DDR4 socketable RAM inside of it, and not 512, but 1 terabyte, and not PCIe 3, but PCIe 4 of onboard storage. It's got dual 2.5 gig LAN with Wi-Fi 6, which is, far more common than Wi-Fi 7, let's face it. More people have Wi-Fi 6, I think. Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 are the two most common standards people are using around the world. Now, in the future, that might change, but today, why pay more for something you're not using? Wait until you need it, and the price will come down between now and then in most cases. It supports up to 4 4K output displays. And again, there's your processor, the i9-13900HK. But if we run over to Minisforum's website, you'll see here, well, it's all sold out. That's how good of a price it is. They weren't sold out the other day when we put these links together. This bare-bone version is $399. So if it looks familiar, they're reusing a lot of things here because it's cheaper. That's part of the way they can get the system cheaper. They don't have to redesign much. So you're looking at SATA dual drive support. Yeah, you could put a 2.5-inch drive in there if you wanted to be a masochist and do that to yourself. I think you're better off just attaching it with a USB cable, no enclosure needed. But you do you, man. You know what I mean? Like you could eat bacon grease all day if you want to. I don't recommend it, but I'm not going to stop you. The whole unit opens up without any tools. You just push on the top like a cabinet door, and you have full access to your RAM and storage. It's that easy. And while the unit does have 32 gigs, it says slots up to 32 gigs. They mean 32 gigs per slot. So this could have a total of 64 in it if you were rich and you could afford that RAM. And again, this is sort of a breakout of it with the cooling system and USB ports. You're not going to have a lot of the gaming features like Oculink, for example. That's not going to be on here. I don't think it is. Let me check. No, but you do have two USB 3.2 Type-C. So this isn't going to have USB 4. This is not going to have Oculink. That's another thing that if you're not using it, why are you paying for that? Because it brings the price down. In a lot of mini PCs, they have a video output of HDMI and a video output of DisplayPort. This one is 2 HDMI ports, which is the most common used by consumers, so you don't have to get a different cable or an adapter. So right out of the box, it's good to go. And then you can use these Type-C ports also to buy an adapter to go to HDMI or DisplayPort. That gives you a total of 4 monitors you can be using at the same time. And in the box, you've got a SATA cable to attach a 2.5-inch drive if you're masochist. You've got a mounting kit for the VESA bracket, which must be in here. Yeah, there's a VESA bracket, and the screws go to that to mount the computer behind your monitor or under a desk, or instead of just having the computer sitting with gravity, you can have it hanging. And that's what that bracket and screws are for. It includes a short HDMI cable because if you do put the computer behind your monitor, you don't want to see a 6-foot long cable dropping to the floor and then going right back up again to the back of the monitor. So I don't normally use these cables because I've never put a computer on the back of a monitor. It'll make it hard to get to the USB ports and stuff. But I never use this cable because it's too short. You've got some documentation in the box, a power cord, power adapter, and the mini PC. And that's pretty much what we're going to look at today and verify it. But I can already tell you this is a hell of a deal because we've already looked at a couple different versions of the NAB9 and I've loved them. Does anybody in our chat room have a NAB9? Gary Tatum said he's still running a 12th gen i9, so that's a year older than the 13th gen. And it's screaming fast. It's a desktop CPU, but I'd still imagine those 13th generation mobile chips can't be much different. Well, I mean, you can Google it and see. But yeah, the mobile chips aren't quite as powerful as the desktop chips, and that's because they're nowhere near as power hungry. So they don't have all that heat and cooling to deal with that makes it loud and bulky. 1986-22 Jer says, I have an i5-10400F. Is it too old? It's too old when you decide. Nobody can tell you if it's too old. If you're using your computer for whatever you use your computer for, and it's doing what it needs to do, you can use that computer forever. At some point, though, what usually happens is the computer no longer satisfies the needs that you have, and at that point, it's too old. So when is that for you versus when is it for me? It just kind of depends on what you're doing with it and what you expect out of it. When it's no longer meeting your expectations, it's too old. If you have to ask, sounds like it's just fine and it's not too old. I still have customers running 8th gen and 9th gen computers in offices. And they're running Windows 11 without any sort of workaround. They're 100% Windows 11 compliant. And those computers are now 8-9 years old. And they're working perfectly. There's no reason to upgrade them. Don't get me wrong, I got a lot of computers here I'd love to sell. But if people don't need it, I just had this conversation with my client yesterday. And I said, you know, I can get you a really good deal if you want to upgrade it, but there's nothing wrong with what you've got. And they said, okay, we'll think about it. No problem. Let's take a look. Let's see if I move some things around on the desk here. And we'll get this bad boy unboxed. You'll see it's still shrink wrapped. Not a fan of the way Amazon shipped this to me. They threw an address label right on it. No box. So just show everybody in the neighborhood what you dropped off. And I think there may be a box when you check out of Amazon that says to save the environment and just ship it in the original manufacturer's packing. And that might make sense if you're ordering a giant TV because, that's already a big box. But it's going to be showing a picture of the TV on the outside of the box, so I hope you're home when it arrives. Or you're going to have a giant TV that says, take me, to anybody walking down the street, seeing it parked at your porch. This is a lot smaller, harder to see, but nonetheless, probably worth more than the giant TV at $775. With sales tax, I think it was around $820 is what we paid for it. So I was a little disappointed that it had the address label stuck to it, but because of this plastic wrap, that label just peeled off all in one piece, and that way I can show it to you on camera without doxing myself. All right, let's get this bad boy open. Let's go to close-up camera. There we go. Let me move that out of the camera shot here. Here, move that too. Okay, Finally, inside, got some foam, some documentation. I'm sure everybody's going to want to read that. There's our mini PC right on top, and you can see there's no damage or anything to the box. There's nothing harmful about shipping it in the box, other than what I just mentioned, where people can see what you're getting. So if you're at work and this is sitting in front of your door all day, that could be a potential temptation for a thief. When it comes to the mini PC itself, it's pretty ordinary as far as size and shape. There's nothing that makes it unusual. And you can see as I opened it, I kind of pushed down on that lid. You see how that lid opens? Look how easy that is. And the solid state drive has a little active cooling fan. Here's your Wi-Fi card. There's your BIOS battery. There's your DDR4 RAM, 2 sticks of 16. And then to put that back in, just like that. There's our front ports, nothing on the sides. And then the back, exactly as pictured on the website. Going back to the box to verify we've got everything, let's take this piece out. And we've got a cardboard box. Actually, it's just a cover. And underneath the cover is all of our accessories. That includes the power cable, which is a 3-prong laptop style power cable. Then that's going to plug into the power brick, just like a laptop. Right there is your power brick. Barrel connector. And the watts on this power brick, I got to get my more powerful glasses to see this. It's probably 19 volts. Let's see. Yeah, 19 volts, 120 watts. Okay. Going back over to the box here, we've also got the HDMI cable. We've got the little SATA adapter if you want to be a masochist and put a 2.5-inch drive in there. That would go right into the lid. We go right here. And then that cable would attach down onto the board. And then you're welcome to trap as much heat in there as you want to. There's no fan in here. There's no way to move the air around. So you're just trapping more heat in there. Minisforum says it's okay. I don't think it's okay. You can decide if you think that's okay. This little bag of screws is for to attach a drive. So that goes with that. And then this is the VESA bracket, and it has its own screws in the bag. And that's for mounting this device, like behind a monitor. And finally, what appears to be some M.2 screws are in this bag here. And that must be because, let's see. No, there's no other M.2. This only has one M.2 slot. So I'm not sure what those other screws are for. Now, for us testing this, we don't need any of this stuff. I'm going to throw all that back in the box and clear up some desk space. So we have room to work. So we can plug this bad boy in and give it our very first power on self-test. Oh, I forgot. I forgot. I had to remap some keys after the show. Previous show, and then I forgot to do it, and I just realized it. They're still not working. All right, Carey. Drop the ball on that one. That was after a big OBS update. For some reason, I lost my key mapping. All right, let's get this plugged in and turn it on for the first time. And when we do that, we don't want to be connected to the internet. You just want power, video, keyboard, and mouse, and nothing else. So with that, let me grab my keyboard and mouse. And it doesn't matter what USB ports we use here. Don't plug in any printers or flash drives, accessories, scanners, nothing. Not on your first boot. I don't care if you built it yourself. The same rule applies universally on any new computer, whether it's Dell or you built it yourself. If it's a mini or a laptop, doesn't matter. Always the same if you want to have the same experience I'm about to show you, unless something's wrong with the unit, and then you'll know it's not an effect of something you plugged in causing the problem, but rather the device itself, and that makes your diagnostic and resolution so much faster. So I need an HDMI cable, so we'll grab, or will I? Where is it? This is one here. There it is. All right, we're going to grab that, and we'll just plug it into either one of the HDMI cables back here, or HDMI ports back here. Doesn't matter. When we go to plug the network in or to connect to Wi-Fi, you can do either, but wait till you get to the desktop first. But if you do plug in, it doesn't matter which of the two jacks you use. And then let's see, so we've got the power adapter, HDMI, and we just need a power cable. I put the power cable back in the box because I have a much longer power cable that's more convenient for me to use on camera. But it's just here on the floor, and I think my chair is sitting on it. Yeah, here it is. So same thing, just a universal laptop style power cord. And with that, it should turn on. See the power button. The light turns blue like it's supposed to. And then we're going to go over to camera 3 is what I call this. And it's going to say Elgato, no signal. That's because we're on the Elgato capture card in the streaming PC. And in just a moment, it should show us the Minisforum logo. There it is, as it performs its first ever power on self-test since it's been in the box. And it should take us to the standard Windows out of box experience, where then we can look and see what version of Windows is installed, and also check for updates and plug it into the network after we get to the desktop. So let's do that right now. In just a moment, we should see the out-of-box experience setup screen. If you ever buy a mini PC and it boots right to the desktop, it doesn't sound like you bought something new, or you bought it from somebody like me that configured it for you before they sent it to you. But when you're buying from Amazon and you open it up, take it out of the box, and it immediately takes you to the desktop, I would completely reinstall Windows, because that's really sus. All right, so English United States, that's what we want. I'll hit continue in English. It's going to ask me what country I'm in. I'm in the United States. What language keyboard do I use? I use a US keyboard. Do I use another language keyboard? I do not, so skip. I'm not going to connect. So right here it says I don't have internet. Click on that. Otherwise, it'll force you to create a Microsoft account. And that will not generally show up if you're plugged into the network. It might just sort of skip past that question. Accept the license agreement, and then we'll put a username here of just user. Enter. I'll enter a blank password. That way it'll just boot to the desktop without hesitation. And I turn all the privacy settings off. I've seen some of the Windows setups where the privacy settings never appear because of the customization of the manufacturer. And I don't trust those. Again, I would reinstall Windows. And we might just reinstall Windows on this one just because. But let's see how our time goes today. I'll hit accept. The reason I do that is to see if all the drivers we need are available from the manufacturer's website. And especially some manufacturers on Amazon that are a little bit sketchy, they may not even have websites. Bill Holmes says, what is the brand of RAM inside of the machine? I think the RAM is installed upside down, so I would have to power it off and remove it to see the label. So remind me of that when we get this thing turned back off. But we need to go through the full out-of-box experience first. I don't want to interrupt it, because that could cause problems, and I don't want, look, if there's problems out of the box, that's Minisforum's fault. But if there's problems that I created because I interrupted the process and corrupted files, that would be my fault. Now that we've answered those questions, it customizes Windows to our region and our language, because Minisforum sells these computers to countries all over the world. So we'll wait a minute while it customizes our install. And there we go. I can now plug it into the network. So I'm going to grab my Ethernet cable and plug it in, or you could get on Wi-Fi right now, but I'm going to plug it into either one of those jacks there in the back. And then while that loads, you'll see the bottom right corner is flashing. It'll get an IP address. There it goes, and then all the icons filled in based on my region. Some of these would not be allowed in the European Economic Area, etc. So it waits till it gets an IP address to see what region your IP address came from, to stay within legal requirements of each country. Let's change our display settings. I want to drop this down to 1080 because I can't see nothing. Everything's too teeny tiny. There we go. Keep these changes. And let's take a look at the start menu. Right click on that, go to System, and it's 24H2. So that's an old install of Windows. You know, we're almost ready. Microsoft is almost ready to release 26H2. So that's an older install. We're at 26100-3194. That's pretty far back. For the price though, and listen, you probably want to reinstall Windows anyway while it's fresh and clean, just so you don't have that international English version, but rather a US-based English version. It is a little bit different sometimes, so my preference is always to do a reinstall on any new computer that has an operating system installed, and it solves a lot of problems for me. Or it answers a lot of questions that I would wonder, like, can I get the drivers, and is there any malware? Or do I have to wait for 6 hours for updates? Either way, you could choose what you want to do, but these days it's so fast to reinstall Windows, I can get that done faster with drivers than the updates often take on old installs. Is it activated? Let's see if we type activation. See if Windows is activated. It is activated, so we're good there. And it is Windows 11 Pro, right? Yeah, it is Windows 11 Pro. So when we go to install Windows 11 Pro using the media creation tool that creates my Windows 11 installer, it won't even ask us what version of Windows we want, and it will not ask us for a product key. It's all tied to the motherboard. So once it reinstalls and you connect back to the internet afterwards, it automatically reactivates. You never have to put the key in. If we look in the device manager, just out of curiosity, we've got under network adapters, both of the Ethernet ports are 2.5 gig and they're made by Intel. The Wi-Fi is a Wi-Fi 6E. I know it said Wi-Fi 6, but it's actually 6E, and that's made by MediaTek. Now I know for a fact that MediaTek doesn't allow you to download drivers from them. So we will have to get drivers from Minisforum. So the question is, does Minisforum make drivers available for this unit? One really easy way to tell would be to just open our browser. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Continue. Firm. Now we can type up here, we'll go to Google, and I'll type in Minisforum NAB9S drivers. Should take us to a support site, and there it is, Minisforum support. Under this search right here in the middle of the screen, NAB9S, search. There it is, and there's our drivers. Oh, there's a BIOS version 10S and a driver package. So what BIOS version do we have right now? Do we have that BIOS version? One way you could find out, I mean, there's several different ways you can do this. I think we can type in MS info, yeah, and then that brings up system information. That might give us our BIOS version. BIOS date. I see a 10S. Nope, don't see it. By the way, this thing has 14 cores with 20 logical processors. This is no slouch. Oh, here it is, 105, not 10S. It's right here. So we already have that latest BIOS, and you can see the drivers were available. So if we want, we can safely just wipe this out and reinstall, or you can go to Windows Update and wait for all the updates to catch you up to the latest 25H2 Windows 11 version. And of course, if you wait until fall and you're still able to get one of these, you're going to be doing 26H2, which may be an even longer process. Every month, more updates come out. So you've got another month of updates every single month since the install of this version. That could be a while, but it's effortless. You click the button and walk away, but it could be a while. So with that, there's drivers and downloads here. And there's the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth driver are separated if you need them, as is the audio and Ethernet driver, or it's all packaged together in a bundle here. So either way.
Right.
Yeah.
You have email.
And Mara says we have an email. Let me go ahead and shut this down here. And we'll go back over to camera 1. You see how fast that shuts down, right? Let's check our email right quick. Where am I? Oh, William Denton sends a very generous PayPal contribution. Right on. Thank you so much. And see William Denton in the chat room. Do you have a different handle? Well, thank you so much. That's very generous support. And you guys, I'll tell you what, it's making a huge difference in our ability to keep making this content, as much of it as we're making, and just to acquire some things. We get lucky with, you know, manufacturers sending us some things free for review, but it's trickling in. So as I mentioned, we bought this, it's expensive, and we'll probably just end up reselling it. We're going to take a loss on it, but it's worth it to have the content. And also, I think this is a really good deal. Like, we're not talking about an entry-level computer here. We're talking about a flagship computer loaded with RAM and storage, although you can buy it when it's in stock without the RAM, storage, or OS for half price. That's how much money RAM and storage are right now. And to get back to that earlier question about, well, what brand of RAM is Minisforum using? Don't be surprised if the brands of the RAM and storage are brands you've never heard of. It's highly unlikely this is going to be some familiar name brand. I'm just going to warn you ahead of time, because that would be very unusual. The sticker on the RAM is actually visible. I thought they were upside down. And the sticker says that that RAM is made by, hold on a second. Hold on, let me get my serious glasses out now. Kingston. Well, there you go. That is Kingston RAM, DDR4. Each stick is 16 gigs. I'm looking for the speed on it. Yeah. So anyway, that is the red label that you might see on the there on this side here. This red label says Kingston. I was suspicious. I was like, does that say King Store? Like something, like somebody's trying to, you know, play games. But no, that's the real deal. So, you know what? Even better to get a name brand RAM. As for the storage, we'd have to run a utility, or we'd have to take the NVMe out and remove the heatsink to see the label. But we can use Crystal Disk Info, or we can use the Intel Driver Assistant. That'll also give us our BIOS version and tell us the make and model of the solid-state storage. So without further ado, let's just wipe it and reinstall Windows to see what that process looks like. And also, you know, gives us the latest version of Windows, because every month Microsoft updates the installer. If you can be bothered, trust me, I can be bothered, to go to download Windows 11. It's free and legal from Microsoft. Using the media creation tool, I create an ISO image. I don't actually make the USB with it, because Microsoft default settings are to force you into an online account. And if it's Windows 11 Home, it might be turning on drive encryption, which Rufus allows us to turn those off in the ISO image and then write the ISO image to the bootable USB drive. So why wouldn't I? So that's what we've got here. I make no other modifications. I don't circumvent or select any other options. Some people are worried about the authentication keys and things like that, like the boot certificates. I wouldn't worry about it. In most cases, whether or not you have Secure Boot on or off doesn't make a difference one way or the other. If you're a gamer and you need it for anti-cheat mechanisms, obviously that's a different story. You'll have to turn Secure Boot on, and you'll want your boot certificates updated, but that will also happen automatically. You don't have to do that by hand. If you have Secure Boot on, and it's got one of the updated boot certificates, but this doesn't, that's what that option's for. So this will boot when Secure Boot's on. You could just go in the BIOS and turn Secure Boot off. Go ahead and let this load up. And then when it's done, go back in and turn Secure Boot on. So modifying the installer with that, I think, is a complete waste of time. Some people are a bit more nerdy than I am, and I mean that in a loving way. I just want to get it done. And I don't want to make these outside modifications other than what's absolutely required. So I would rather go into a BIOS and disable Secure Boot if I needed to boot from, say, a Cronus or the Windows Media Installer. If that ever happens in my career, I will let you know. We broadcast this live, and when have you ever seen me need to do that? Unless I'm booting to, like, maybe it's Memtest or a Cronus, I just turn off Secure Boot. I disable it. It takes 2 seconds. And then I do what I need to do, and when I'm done, I turn it back on.
All I gotta say is thank you, everybody.
Oh,
we have another email.
We have another email today? You know what? It's Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sunday in the beginning of August,
it's like
the love is out, huh?
The love is out today. It's a great Sunday. I hope everybody's enjoying the weather.
Oh, our friend Luke Greenia there in Vermont sends a very nice PayPal contribution. Thank you to Luke as well for all of your kindness and friendship over the years, and for, I hope, many more. And again, to all of you. Many of you have been with us many, many years, and if I don't say it often enough, I appreciate every single one of you. Okay, so enough about Secure Boot. Let's plug this in. And I need to unplug my Ethernet cable. And you notice before I thought I was gonna pull the RAM out. I unplug it, because even when the machine's off, there's still power going through it. And you're running a risk of shorting something out. But if you unplug it first, your risk is 0. So why would I take even the slightest risk, even if the chances are low, or the chances are 0, why would I ever be so lazy that that's too much effort? Worth it? Is it worth the risk? No matter how unlikely you believe the risk to be, the risk may not agree with your beliefs. But if you unplug it, I can guarantee your risk of any power running through that or short-circuiting anything is 0, unless you give it a good old static shock. Okay, then all bets are off. But with that, with our flash drive, with our Windows installer plugged in, I need this to boot to the Windows installer. So let me show you how we're going to do that. We're going to turn this on, and I'll start pressing the delete key. So I'm going to hit the power button there. We're going to jump back over to input number 3. And as soon as I see the Minisforum logo, or even maybe before, like right now, I'll just lightly tap the delete key a couple times. You can kind of hear those clicks to give you an idea. And we get this menu. And in the menu, there's something here called BBS, and that's going to be our bootable options. And we're going to boot to the USB SanDisk right here, instead of to Windows, just this one time. So now it's loading off the Windows USB stick I just put in there. That's how easy that is. We could also go in the BIOS, into the setup area, and look under the boot options there. But I'm not trying to permanently change the boot order. I just want to change it this one boot. Okay, this is an English installer that I've already downloaded from Microsoft. That's why we don't get all the regions and the setup looks a little different. Or rather, we didn't see the setup, but when we get to that point, you'll see it looks a little different from the international installer the PC makers use because they ship all over the world. So I hit next, and US keyboard, I'm installing Windows 11 and agree to delete everything off the drive. And I'm going to show you how fast this is, because if we were downloading updates, we would still be downloading updates by the time this will be finished with all the latest updates on it, except for the preview update that just came out. So we'll hit accept on the license agreement, and it's looking for where it can put Windows. And because we only have, essentially we have two drives. We have the internal NVMe and we have the external USB that has Windows. So that's our Windows installer with Rufus. So we want to take every one of these disk 0 partitions and delete the partitions until there's only one disk 0. See that? See how they all go away? That one right there, delete it. And now we've got disk 0 unallocated space, 1 terabyte. And that's where we want Windows to install. We hit next. So if you put a 2.5-inch drive in here, this could confuse you where you're putting which drive is which. So here we go. We're installing Windows 11 Pro. We're keeping nothing. Let's go. We're off to the races. What it's doing right now is it is reformatting that drive, resetting that internal drive back to like new. It's creating any partitions that Windows needs. It's formatting those partitions, and it's copying over all the Windows 11 installation files. It's actually not installing it right now. I know it says it's installing it, but it's not. It's getting ready to prepare the machine so on its next boot, the Windows installer can begin. And at that point, you no longer need the USB drive plugged in anymore. It doesn't hurt you to keep it plugged in, but it's no longer needing it. It's pulling everything it needs off the USB drive and putting it on one of the formatted partitions right now. And then it's going to reboot, and that's when Windows actually installs. But Windows has to install somewhere. So what it's doing right now is it's getting your drive ready for the proper partitions and the proper sizing of those partitions that Windows has enough room for your recovery area, for your bootable area, and for your Windows, your programs. And it does all that auto-magically for you. You don't have to make any decisions. And you'll get all the defaults. And if you get all the defaults and you don't try and monkey with it and outsmart it, you probably won't have any problems with Windows updates. The people who generally have problems with Windows updates are the people who move away from Windows defaults and think they can outsmart it. And that'll come back to bite them nearly every single time. Just give it time. This includes manufacturers that think they can outsmart Microsoft and ship it with a pre-installed Windows where the partitions are set up wrong. So this is another good reason to not have to hope for the best. You can know for a fact that this was set up properly with all the latest updates, the right partitions in the right order and the right sizes for the size drive you have. And you see now it's rebooting. So that means it's got everything it needs. And we no longer need the USB flash drive installed, although I'm just going to leave it in there because I'm too lazy to pull it out right now. And now it will boot from the internal drive, because remember, we only told it to boot to the USB drive that one time, never again. Unless we repeat that process, it's always going to boot to the Windows drive first. Now when it boots to the Windows drive, the install begins. That's how Windows 11 installs. That's what you're looking at. WD180K in the chat says, Carey, when I watch on TV, I typically don't view the chat. I thought I would switch over to PayPal and give you more flexibility. Oh, that's Bill Denton. Oh, WD180K is Bill Denton. Well, thank you so much. I was very thoughtful of you, and it's very, very much appreciated. Mats Olof from Sweden says, hello, long time no see. He says he's only watching replays these days, but not today. He's been busy. Busy is good. Good to see you, Mats Olaf. Been a friend of the channel a very long time. It's a perfect dork in the chat room says, it looks like there's not much difference between the NAB7 and the NAB9. What did I say this was, a NAB9? Yeah, the NAB7 is a 12th gen and the NAB9 is a 13th gen. So, yeah. Andy mentions the DDR4 should be 3200 megahertz or mega transfers. They interchange those terms, by the way. Don't let it confuse you. Oh, my browser crashed. That hasn't happened in a long time. I thought maybe Google fixed that. You know, Google is updating Chrome now twice a week. That's how many threats are coming out these days. Oftentimes, when they update, they're fixing over 100 vulnerabilities every single time. So twice a week means there's several hundred new vulnerabilities every 3 days, approximately. That's what the state of the internet is today. Also, if you have an Android phone or an Apple phone, you should be visiting the Apple Store or the Google Play. What is it? Google Play? And click your icon in the top right corner and manage apps and see how many apps are waiting to be updated on your phone. Now, on your phone, you will get them automatically, but sooner is better. You could do that every single day, and you will have new apps waiting to install every single day on your phone. If you click on the Play Store, in the top right corner, click on your icon, and then manage your apps and check for updates. Every single day, there's new installs of all your apps that you've installed. If there's any apps on your phone you don't use, do yourself a favor and remove them. Just go to where the icon is on your phone screen, hold the button down, hold up the icon down, and a menu to uninstall will appear. And then you won't have to worry about getting any more updates for that app. Okay, so let's go, where was I? So you notice it takes us right to country or region. So I click yes. And US keyboard, yes. Do I want to add a second? No. Let's connect you. I don't have internet. That's one of the check boxes I tell Rufus to not require the Microsoft account. I put the username of user in here, enter, blank password, so it goes right to the desktop. We get our privacy settings. I always do this the same. I'll just turn all that off and hit accept. Now we just wait for it to set up, and then we can plug it back in online to the internet, and it will auto activate. You notice it never asked us what version of Windows we wanted. You notice it never asked us for a product key. Once it's been activated, your motherboard, that activation key stays tied to the motherboard through Microsoft servers, even without a Microsoft account, whether you like it or not. So there's no reason you should ever need your Windows product key after activation ever again. If you change your motherboard, you'll need a new product key. Do you like the license plate on your car? When you get a new car, you're going to need a new plate. It's a license. The license belongs to the state. The license doesn't belong to you. So the license might, be so old and deteriorated, the state doesn't want it back. They might tell you to go ahead and take it off the car and throw it in the garbage or a recycle bin, but it's still property of the state. Gary Tatum said his browser crashed today too. We can verify the speed of the RAM. Again, we can use CPU-Z. We can, I think the Intel driver updater assistant will also show us all of that information. Okay, so we're all set up. We're back at the desktop. Let me grab the Ethernet cable now. And when I plug in the Ethernet cable, I'm curious if it's going to have the network card driver. Sometimes these Intel 2.5 gig network cards do not get automatic driver installs from Windows. Let's see if I plug it in. Watch the bottom right corner. Look at the globe. Click. Okay. Does the globe change? It does not change. All right, let me get back over to camera 1. Now, what this tells you is there's a reason why Minisforum separates out the network drivers so you don't have to download the big driver package. It's also possible for you to customize your Windows installer to add that, but I can't be bothered. I work on too many different computers to go through that mess. Instead, what I do in this scenario is I have my USB to Ethernet adapter that I bought from Amazon for around $15. And they sell these in both USB Type A and Type C. They sell them as 1 gig, 2.5 gig, 5 gig, and 10 gig, priced accordingly. We don't really need this for much. Once we hook this in, here's what we'll do. We'll take the Windows installer out. We are absolutely done with that. Put it back in the drawer for next time. We're going to then, even though there was room for both, I'm a little OCD, so I take out one, plug in something else. And then let's take the Ethernet cable out and plug it in here. Now, before I do this, I want to show you the desktop. So we're going to go back to the desktop. I want you to pay attention down here at this little globe. Okay, and when I plug this in, this already has drivers on this USB adapter. So you'll see that it starts to flash, and it'll give us an IP address. Now that we have that, or when we get it, we go to Windows Update, and it should get those drivers for us, as well as, and these icons will fill in automatically too, as well as any other drivers and updates since the installer, right? Because the installer that I'm having was just updated 2 weeks ago, but there's been some updates since then. So let's go to check for updates on this, and then I'm going to turn this option on right here. And I also want to check our power plan because I don't want the computer to sleep on us while I'm broadcasting, because that's embarrassing. Oh, something happened to the computer. No, it just slept. Yeah, let's just change that to a few hours here. Save those settings, and now the screen will stay awake while we're live. And it's checking what we've got versus what we need. And there's a few other options I like to set. So for example, since we're waiting and have nothing else to do, I like to get all the future updates, what they're called preview updates. And here you can see we're getting a bunch of drivers and antivirus updates. So we're going to let that download and install. It shouldn't take too long. If I right click on the start menu and go back, well, I guess I could just go to system right here. Let's see. No, that's a different system. You go to right click system. You'll see we now have Windows 25H2. Build number 26200.8873. Now this .8873, that number is only going to get bigger. When that number hits 10,000, this should click over to 26300. And this should click over to 26H2. That's how it should work, but we'll see what Microsoft does. There's our 32 gigs of RAM. There's our 13900. Everything's looking good. If we go in the device manager, what are the state of things right now? If I right click on the start menu, go to the device manager, there's probably a number of devices that are missing drivers. So it looks like an Intel chipset driver. I don't know what this is. And this are probably the Wi-Fi, if I had to guess. Let's see, is there a Wi-Fi driver in here? No. Remember, MediaTek doesn't offer their drivers to the public. They're only to the manufacturers. So we'll have to get that from Minisforum for sure. And this Realtek USB gigabit family controller, that's the USB controller. But notice now the Ethernet controller is in there. It wasn't in there before. So that means, in theory, I can unplug it right now, except it will interrupt our Windows updates, and I don't want to interrupt them. So we'll go back over to Settings and back over to Windows Update and see how we're progressing. Even though I had closed the window, it was still running regardless. You can't make this stop. And while we're waiting, I'll go to Advanced Options. I want to go to System. Is it System? Yeah, Notifications. I guess I didn't need to go to Advanced. Yeah, notifications. You can turn all the notifications off if you want. And then where it says notifications from apps and other senders, go to additional settings and turn these two boxes off. These are the things that pop up after like a Windows update that says, let's finish setting up your PC. It is really annoying. So that'll turn that off forever. And in the meantime, this is continuing to install. We're just going to leave it alone. And then we'll let it reboot, and I should be done with that USB to network adapter and be able to use the network plugs in the back of the machine. And if we want to, while we're doing this, we already know we're going to need the drivers. So why don't we just download them now? We can multitask, save some time. So just like I showed you before, we're going to come up here to Google. That's my preference. And I'm going to type in, hold on a second, lost my mouse. Minisforum NAB9S drivers. First link that Google provides us should take us to the Minisforum support page. We'll search for NAB9S and hit search. And this time, I want the drivers. I want the whole driver package. So click that one time. It should start downloading in just a moment. There it goes. 1.2 gigs of drivers. And then once we have that, gotta wait for it to process here. It'll be a big zip file. We need to extract it. So I'll hit open file and the extract all button and extract. So we're multitasking. While we're downloading those updates, we're getting ready for our next reboot, and we can install the drivers we need. Every driver we need is included in here, though it is possible we don't have the latest drivers. Now, these drivers are numbered 1 through 11, and that's the order in which they want you to install them. I wish they had like an install all and just did it for you. But we're not going to do that right now because we're already installing Windows updates, and we don't want to create a conflict of clashing updates at the same time. You might get away with it, you might not, so I don't want to roll the dice on this and end up, I'm a terrible gambler, so I can tell you I'll end up having to start all over again because I'll screw it up. Just my luck. So just one thing at a time as far as updates go. But as far as like doing other things like other downloads, or you want to go read the news or something, or here I might want to change the wallpaper, I can do all that without any potential jeopardy to the system. So I'll just choose that for our theme. If that theme changes, we're activated, by the way. It won't let us do this without activation. And so far, we're still missing these 4 items here. And it's possible that that may or may not change after these Windows updates are done. You just have to wait and see what the end results are. But regardless, we'll still need the drivers for the MediaTek. And you probably still want to download the latest Intel chipset drivers. The ones that they give you may or may not be the latest version. How would you know? And the latest version, that's a video driver, the latest version will always be better. It'll be more secure, it'll be higher performing, it'll be more reliable. Not that the version they used is bad, it's just that they're not going to be updating as often as the manufacturers. And they're not going to pay their developers to keep updating the website. It costs way too much money. So you could just go to the manufacturer for the drivers. If it's a video card, go to the video card maker for the drivers. If it's a chipset for Intel or AMD, go to Intel or AMD for those drivers. Like I say, the only exception is that MediaTek card. I hope MediaTek gets on board and allows end users to download drivers like Realtek and Intel do for their network cards, but I don't know if they're ever going to do that. Shamim Kajviras joins us and says hello from Sweden. Luke Greenia said, I started vacation today, so I'm getting some much needed me time instead of a 45-hour work week. Right on. Well, enjoy your vacation. I mean, you live in every day you wake up and it looks to me like a vacation. Just where you live, and you're not a big city and deal with all of the rat race, and you're surrounded by nature. Where do you go to get away? All right, we're going to let that finish installing, and let's see if you have any other questions for me or concerns. Feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to provide answers. And hopefully once we get all the drivers in, we'll still have some time to at least run Crystal Disk Mark and see the benchmark numbers of that Gen 4 drive. We can also run Crystal Disk Info and see who makes it. And then we'll probably be out of time for today. I'll go ahead and run the Cinebench scores on this between now and our next show. We'll do a follow-up on it, because those take 20 minutes to run, minimal, for each power profile. And I don't know if this has different power profiles or not. I haven't looked in the BIOS yet. There's Mark Leibowitz, a fellow IT tech, joins us from Chicago. Welcome in, Mark. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Let me just scroll through the chat and see if I've missed anything. Luke says, to the family, woods where it's quiet and away from people. Sign me up. As long as I have internet access, though, then I'm good. I'm trying to catch up here in the chat room to see if I've missed any comments directed to me or questions directed to me. If I've missed your comment, please repost it, or if I've missed your question, please repost it in the chat. Hey, there's Mortant joining us. Renews his membership. He's now a member for 50 months. Thomas, or Mortant, says, hello, Carey and Mara and everyone in the chat. It's 50 months. What a wonder. Oh, I think he's saying, what a wonderful channel and community. I was having some crabs and, is that a cake? Crab cake? Pie? Well, thank you for renewing your membership. It's always good to see you, my friend. Enjoy your crabs. Bill Holmes said, my first Minisforum was the NPB6, the same case design as the NAB9, but with an i7-13620. Yeah, so just one step below. 32 gigs of DDR5, that makes it a step higher. 512 gig NVMe, that makes it a step lower. 2 USB 4s, that makes it a step higher. 2 HDMI, that's the same. 2.5 gig Ethernet, that's the same. And it's still an excellent true mini, is what he says. So you're saying you're happy with it. How long have you had it? Probably just about a year. Oh, it's a beer. I see. Crabs and beer, is that what it is? Right on. Well, I hope you're enjoying it. Sounds like a nice dinner. Let's get back over to our screen over here, see what it's doing. Still downloading and installing. Oh, you know what? I was going to turn a couple other options on, but I'm going to let it sit for right now. We'll just let that run. We'll allow it to reboot. We'll go back and check the device manager, see if any changes have been made. Bill Holmes says he's had that NAB6 for 2 years and he would buy it again. He's so happy with it. He wouldn't hesitate if he needed to buy another one. He would absolutely buy it without hesitation. And look, nobody here is being pressured into saying anything positive or negative or anything at all. So when someone offers a testimonial like that, it comes completely of their own free will, because they want you to know. They want you to know that if you don't believe me, and they're not an influencer, right? Just say, hey, I'm a viewer just like you, and I bought this one, and I've been really happy with it. They're just being a kind community member to share their experience. And we encourage our community to share their experience. We're not interested in other people's experiences outside of this community because we don't know them. And if we don't know who they are, it's hard to know if they're just looking for attention. Are they telling fish stories? Are they hired by the competitor to say bad things? Are they hired by the main company to say good things? Your guess is as good as mine, but I trust the members of the community. And when they tell us their experience, I know they're telling us the truth, and they're not being paid to do that. So take that for what you will, and participate. If you want to share your experience with any manufacturer's computers, even if it's not Minisforum, be it good or bad, if you want to share your experience, the community would love to hear it, as would I. Why would we need 2 network cards on a mini PC? This is a common question. Most people don't need 2 network cards on a mini PC. It makes the PC more flexible for other use that most people wouldn't use it for. So if we go to, let's see, which way am I going to do this? We'll ask Gemini here, we're waiting anyway. So Gemini can give a much more thorough answer, better than I can, because sometimes when I give my answers, I'm looking for quick and simple, and it may not be completely thorough about all the potential. And Gemini, especially when it comes to computer stuff, it does a really, really good job. So let's go over there and try this. Why does the Minisforum, not that we have to specify this, NAB9S come with 2 NICs? Turns it into basically a Swiss Army knife. You know, a Swiss Army knife has all those different type of attachments to it, but most people just use the knife part and barely ever use any of the other attachments. But basically, you could use this as a custom router or firewall. So software like pfSense, OpenSense, or OpenWRT gives you the ability to bring the internet into one side and then connect it to the output of your home network to the other side, just like a router. It would replace your router. Because it features a powerful Core i9 processor, using it as a router lets it handle heavy network traffic, encrypted VPN tunnels like WireGuard, and intrusion prevention systems for far better than standard consumer routers. But it's a bit technical. It's not easy. I wouldn't be bothered, to be honest, especially if you're just a consumer. Nobody's coming after you specifically. Unless you left your doors open and unlocked, the regular router protects you so you don't have to do all this work. Some people think this work is fun. That's who it's for. Or some people have a unique use case scenario. There's also dual NICs allow you to physically split your network into 2 distinct zones without requiring complex VLAN configurations. So high security devices like personal computers, NAS, and finance servers could be on an internal network, and then you could have an external or isolated network for guest Wi-Fi networks, untrusted IoT, but that's mostly going to be controlled wirelessly anyway. But you could create your own wireless access point that's excluded and isolated. I don't know why you'd do that, but you could. And then you've got home labs using things like Proxmox, or I forget how we say this, the ESXi. There's a way that they say that, which I can't remember. But you can run virtual machines, containers, you know, VMware, stuff like that, Hyper-V. And then you can use the different physical Ethernet ports to be assigned to the virtualization machines, the VMs. So for example, one network interface card is used for controlling the hypervisor server running the VMs, and then the other one could be used for the VMs themselves without clogging any server side stuff, hypervisor stuff. Then, of course, if you work with large media files or file backups, you could use one port for your internet and one port for your home network, but that would be pretty extreme. I mean, I do some pretty heavy file moving around, and I do it all simultaneously, and I don't notice a speed drop where I would have to dedicate a port just for that. But that's me. And then there's link aggregation, and that's where you can put the two ports together into a compatible router or switch that supports link aggregation and combine the 2.5 gigs to be a single 5 gig connection. Sort of like RAID for hard drives, but for your network. But you need other network equipment, first of all, that's fast enough to keep up with it. And secondly, that supports aggregation, which not much equipment does if it's home-based equipment. So I'm glad I asked Gemini, because I would have forgotten at least 3 of these 4. Because I would have just said, well, you could set up your own router. But yeah, I forgot about this stuff here. So thanks to Gemini. Now listen, when I'm live, I want you to ask me the questions. But the reason I'm showing you how I'm getting some of these answers is so that when I'm not live, if I'm not available to help you, you can choose to help yourself. Or you can wait till our next live show, or you can always email us anytime if you have any questions as well if we're not live. But while we're live, we want to interact with you. So we appreciate your interaction. And our update is still downloading. That's a big one. Okay, well, we'll let that finish. George or Jorge says, greetings from Puerto Rico. This talk is very interesting. Well, right on. Well, welcome in. Hope you'll stick around. Bart Gain says, my son just informed me he bought me a NAB9S for my birthday, which is tomorrow. Well, first of all, happy birthday. And second of all, can I have a birthday too? Because that's a great present, and a very generous one at that. You got yourself a good kid on your hands there. That beats a tie or a coffee mug that says world's #1 dad any day of the week. Andy says, right now Minisforum makes the very best true Mini on the market, the AI X1470, not the Pro model. Yeah, he's talking about the package size. Yeah. Yeah, everybody say happy birthday to Mark Gaines, even if it is a day early. Ian Bruce says, I switched on my other laptop. It starts with 2 black lines, which goes across the screen. I wonder if you have any ideas. If you have a monitor you can plug into the laptop, see if the black lines appear on the other external screen to determine if you're having a graphics card problem or a monitor problem. That's a very easy thing for you to check. Westside Lord just became a supporter. Thank you, Westside Lord. Thank you for supporting us, and welcome to our tech club. The benefits of being a supporter are that every Monday we do a video, a live video like this, but only for the members. Those videos are never made public. They're just a way for us to hang out, smaller, more intimate group, far less formal. Sometimes I show diagnostics or repairs or how-tos that I don't show the general public, or I give you a sneak peek of what's coming up if we have stuff coming up for that week. So we used to all the time. These days things have been a little slow, but also, you know, just hang out. It's a clubhouse, if you will, for the members. So I hope you'll join us tomorrow in our clubhouse video every Monday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. So thank you again for your support. Sound like Bartles and James. Did I just age myself? I think I did. Sounds like who? Bartles and who? What computers do they make? Never mind. Okay, how we doing over here? Okay, it should start installing. So this is that big security update. This is a preview update that's coming out next month, the official, the second Tuesday of the month. And I just like to get this stuff early. And, in retrospect, maybe I didn't need to check the box to get all the other updates, but it's a habit. This will be built into the Windows installer in a couple weeks. So on the second Tuesday of the month, this preview update, is this the preview update? I think it is. It says it's a security update. Yeah, that's got to be the preview update. Otherwise, we would have gotten it, I think, on the second Tuesday of July. So this should be included in the second Tuesday of August Windows update. And then that following Thursday, the media creation tool, the ISO image should be updated. And then I can update my installer. So when I install Windows 11 from that point forward, this will already be in there. That's why we have so few updates, because of how updated my installer is. So once that gets to 100%, it will install, and then we'll be able to move along. So hopefully it won't be too much longer. And while that runs, let me jump back over to camera one here and see if you have other questions or comments for me. Brian Weber said, wow, that brings back memories. Bartles James, thank you for your support. Lots of happy birthdays to Mark Gaines. Hope you're going to have a great day tomorrow. I also hope you have a great day every day, but especially tomorrow. When you get that NAB9S all set up, you'll have to let us know what you think of it. Mark Gaines says, I've got mail. Okay. Thank you, Mark. Let's check the email. Yeah, I do see something waiting. Oh, a PayPal contribution from Mark Gaines. Thank you, Mark. He says, here's a little support for the channel. And I appreciate that very much from all of you today. What a great day it's been for me. Is it my birthday? It's feeling like it. Buster, Frankie B, Mark Gaines, Luke Greenia, and William Denton. Did I leave anybody out? I hope not. Frankie B, Bill Denton, Luke Greenia, Mark Gaines. I got to double check myself these days. I'll tell you what. My brain is overloaded. That's the excuse I'm using anyway. I'm sure it's not age related. Can't remember. What do they call that? CRS? Can't remember stuff? I don't think the word stuff, if I remember that right. Different word. It's supposed to be funny. I know what the word's supposed to be. I'm trying to be polite. All right, let's get back over here. Are we installing yet? We are, finally. Okay, so let me go full screen. Hey, Rick Lakes with a $25 super chat. Plus, he gave a $10 super chat. That's a total of $35 in super chat from our friend Rick Lakes out there in Minnesota. Bill Holmes wants to know, did I miss the memory speed check? No, we're still waiting on updates. We don't do any of that till the updates go in. Eddie Casanova said he's got a birthday coming up August 9th. Well, I hope I'll see you before then. We get a little bit closer to that and we can all celebrate your birthday, give you a happy birthday. There's Dustin Fuller saying hello. Actually, now that I think about it, since we're waiting, If I hit Control-Alt-Delete and go to the Task Manager, then we go over here to Memory. That should give us what we need to know. Yeah, 3200 speed memory right there. It just now occurred to me I could do that. Oh, you know, there's 6 different ways to do anything in Windows, and I don't know, sometimes I get my mindset. It's sort of like I get in the car to go somewhere, and I've already got the route planned in my head when there's 6 different routes I could take. It's kind of the same way. So yeah, I didn't need to turn that into a bigger deal than it really was. So there's the answer to your question. Oh, sometimes it's a lot easier if I just slow down a little bit. You know, sometimes when I'm doing these live videos, I get so kind of hung up on making sure I'm paying attention to everybody that I'm not paying enough attention to the computer, and I'm not thinking as clearly as I would be if I were alone off camera. Like last night, I had a system here that's been sitting over here. It's just a motherboard. I don't know what's on it anymore. So I fired it up, and there was a BIOS update. And to fire it up, I have to hook up a power supply, a power switch, keyboard, mouse, plug the power supply into power, plug the network in, plug the video in, then go to the website, you know, check what version of BIOS I have, see if there's a new one, go to Windows Update, download all the updates. And I'm thinking, you know, that's going to be an hour of work. And I didn't have any other projects last night, so I thought, it's something to do. I'll just plug it in and let it run and go watch TV. Well, by the time I plugged it in and hooked it up, I think 3 minutes went by. It was like nothing. And then I turned it on, found the BIOS update, put it on a flash drive, updated it, and went into the kitchen for something while the BIOS updated. Probably snacking on something, came back out, it was already done. Then I went to Windows Update, and it downloaded much quicker than what it's doing live now. The same updates went really quick. I did a disk cleanup on it, and then I shut it all down, unplugged the power supply, put it away, unplugged the little power switch thing I need for it, put it back in the drawer, unplugged the dongle and the keyboard mouse, put that away. The whole process was under 25 minutes. The whole thing, start to finish. But I know if I'd have done it on camera, it would have been an hour and a half. How does that work? What are we doing over here? Still installing? It's got to be almost done now. Come on. We're getting there. And Bruce asking about a knowledge base. I don't know what you're referring to. The knowledge base, the KB number is right there on the screen. You can see it. And if I've moved on, you know, you can always rewind the video and freeze frame it too. Because I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't know what 28,000.2525 is, other than that's really, really old. When you're mentioning 29,000, and that's like, I don't know, in the year 2028. So I'm a little confused. I don't know if you've typoed. I don't know what your point of reference is, and I don't know what you're asking that isn't on the screen. But if you want to clarify that, you know, I have no, you might as well have said purple rock scissors. Like, I don't know. I know what those things are individually, but put in that order, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I think there may be a combination of typo and a lack of reference that makes your statement so confusing. So I'll just nod my head for right now and smile. What's happening, Mara?
Email.
We've got an email. Excellent. Good timing. Our friend Morton sends an Amazon gift card, and a generous one at that. Hey, Carey, Mara in chat. This is for the channel. This is a very generous contribution to the channel. Thomas, thank you so much. I don't know what magic is in the air today, but we've seen such amazing generosity from you guys, and rest assured, all the money that's collected goes back into the channel. I mentioned we bought this. We will sell this eventually when we're done with it. And you know, if you're in the USA and you're interested in purchasing any of the devices you've seen us review, as long as it's not a prototype unit, we're happy to make a deal on it. And of course, if there's anything we can help you with at any time, any of you, just reach out to our email address, which I'm going to put up here while we're waiting. You can reach out to us at any time. And if you have those kind of questions about purchasing, you know, we do all that privately. We don't discuss it in a public forum. But yeah, just reach out. And you know, it's because of the generosity of our community that we can do projects like this, quite frankly. You know, sometimes Minisforum sends us units free of charge. Sometimes they don't. So if you know, unfortunately, there's just not much out there brand new to review. You know, in the beginning of this video, I showed you a $5,000 GMK Tech. There's no way. We would never have the budget for that in 6 months. Okay, so I can't do that just to make a video that makes $40. And GMK Tech isn't offering to send us one. GMK Tech hasn't sent us a computer, I don't think ever. Every GMK Tech you've seen on this channel, we bought. And they were eventually flipped, usually on eBay. Just so you know, I try and be as transparent as I can be. And if I'm not being transparent, it's because I'm not aware of it. So if you feel like anything's kind of being obfuscated or hidden, just ask me. It's not my intent to hide anything from you guys. Let's see. Yeah, so more time. Thank you so much. Let me run back over to this guy here. Are we ready yet? Yeah, we're ready. So the reason I don't get the restart now is because I failed to go to advanced options and to turn that on. That will tell me. And normally I also turn on this and this. So go back. They're not letting me go back. Let's close this. And we can restart this way. See the little orange dot? Oh, now it appeared. Okay, there we go. So it took a minute for that setting to take effect. And then what I'll do is I'll put camera 1 back and I'll put myself down in a corner. Luke is saying thank you to Mara for all the work she does behind the scenes. Yeah, we keep her pretty busy. She loves it when I give her a last-minute project like, what are you doing on Wednesday? And this is like Tuesday night. And I'm like, I don't know. And then an hour later, as she's getting ready for, she's crossing her arms and staring at me. That's a good sign. I think that means she likes me. I'll say, oh, let's, I forgot about the whatever, let's do that. And then she's like, great, I'm glad you figured it out. But now there's only so many hours left in the day for me to get this set up for you for tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
No, what's worse is is you don't say anything until the next day where you're like waking up and you're like, I think I'm going to do whatever. And then you give me like an hour to set it up. I hate that. That is just terrible because I have to do all the research, figure out what the design's going to be, get it posted, get it shared. I mean, come on. An hour?
I don't know why it takes you more than 3 minutes.
Oh my God. Sure, if you want me to use crap and make sure that all the notes don't make any sense or they're not accurate.
Just AI slop it.
That's AI. No, we don't do that. No.
I don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah, you don't.
Well, because I don't have
You're
to.
not the one doing the work.
And nor do I want to be. Ian Bruce says, what was the large update you were speaking about? The update that was on the screen. I don't know where you're pulling these version numbers. So the KB knowledge base number that starts with 28,000.2525, I don't know what that is. The KB 57651 version 10.0, I don't know what that is. What I'm referring to are the knowledge base articles that affect the Windows build number, not the knowledge base. Each individual knowledge base update or KB update has a version. I don't pay attention to those. I'm only paying attention to the ones that affect the Windows build number. And those will start with 26,200 or 26,100. None of that is anything that we're discussing. So what I'm trying to say is that all the updates that came out on the second Tuesday of July, they're already built into my Windows installer now. So I don't have to worry about those ever again. They're built into Windows. The updates, that big update that we were waiting on this whole time, that also adjusts the Windows build number to 26,200. I think it was 8875. That will come out officially on the second Tuesday of this month. And then that following Thursday, we will have the ability to then update the installer to include that. And we do that every month. So I hope I'm understanding your question correctly. I don't really care about the individual build numbers. I don't really pay attention. I don't care. It's a new build. There's several new build numbers every month over the last 6 years. If you think I can isolate one from another one, you've got too much credit for just how deep into that I am. I don't care. All I care about is I have them all. That's the extent of it. I don't memorize them. Okay, so now that we've rebooted, let's check the device manager. Let me go full screen over here for me. Okay, let's go to the device manager. Right click on the start menu. Where are we at with this? No difference. That's fine. That's fine. What we can do now is we can go to the downloads folder. Oh, wait a minute. I know. Let me unplug my USB to Ethernet, right? Because it said that loaded. Let's plug that in, and now my camera's covering up the corner, but let's see if it, I can see it, and it's working now. So I don't need the USB adapter anymore. And I'm waiting for that. It just went solid. So now I can go to the downloads folder. And this is the zipped file here, which I'm going to delete. This is the extracted contents of that zip folder. And we'll start with number 1 and click Setup Chipset. So that's the Intel chipset drivers. And these are critical, absolutely critical. Same with AMD. You need those AMD chipset drivers or you're just not going to get the performance that you paid for. Now this may not be the latest version, but it's a good place to start. And for many people, that's all they're ever going to get. Most people don't even update these in the entire ownership of the computer. And they don't know any better. That's why I'm here to tell you. If you paid me to do a tune-up on your computer, I'll be updating all of your drivers. And that includes the network drivers, the sound drivers, and the chipset drivers. And the video drivers too. All of that can make a huge difference in performance and reliability, or even compatibility with some software. And the longer this takes, the more work it's doing. So likely what's happening right now is many of those devices that were having a problem are going away. Look at that. Now we just have a network controller that's still installing. Sees a generic Bluetooth adapter. See how magical that chipset driver is and how important it is, and it wants to restart in order for those drivers to take effect, which you definitely want to do. I would not try and install all the drivers at once Because if the computer doesn't restart if the computer does restart with an error, you won't know which of those drivers caused it. If it was restarting fine before you put the drivers in and now it's not restarting after, how do you know which driver caused it? You will know it was a driver because that's what you did. So when a driver wants to restart, in most cases, my suggestion to you is let it restart before you do anything else. And make sure it restarts right. You're making an assumption that it's going to work. Well, that's fine if you want to do that. I can't afford assumptions. They're too costly for me in my business. So verify, verify, test and verify, test and verify. One thing at a time. Don't try and test everything and verify everything at once, so you got yourself a big old pot of confusion. So now if we look in the device manager, we likely have the Wi-Fi card and Bluetooth card are missing. And you'll see these two devices here. Now, as I mentioned with MediaTek, that's pretty normal. So if I want to just skip back to the downloads into the drivers and go right to the Wi-Fi, we don't have an Intel Wi-Fi. So we can skip this. We have MediaTek Bluetooth and a MediaTek Wi-Fi. And even though that's number 6 and 8, the Intel Ethernet driver is already installed. Otherwise, when I plug the cable in, it wouldn't be working. So as far as I'm concerned, we know we don't need this one. I can just delete it because it doesn't apply to this computer. And I know we don't have an Intel Wi-Fi, and I can delete that. The Intel Ethernet, we get those automatically. So in theory, we really don't need that one either because we get it automatically with Windows Update. So that leaves what's the Intel graphics driver, which we also got automatically through Windows Update, and this is guaranteed to be old. So I'm just not, I like to keep the drivers, but why am I keeping drivers I don't need? So let's do the MediaTek Wi-Fi here. What do we have? Install. Double click on install. Click run. That seemed a little too quick. Let's look in the device manager and see if it did anything. See it doing anything. What if we right click and run it as administrator? Does that make a difference? Not seeing anything happening here. Let's go back. What about the Bluetooth? Run the install on that. Huh. No luck here. Right click, run as administrator. Not working. So what this tells me, and you have to understand my position on this, as much as I love Minisforum, sometimes they are hard-headed. I have told Minisforum on several of their models they've got the wrong drivers. And I have a feeling of deja vu. Did they do it again? Here's how you'll know, or here's how I know. I go back to Minisforum support. So Minisforum NAB9S drivers. And do you remember how they had the Wi-Fi drivers separately? Those should be the same drivers in the package. Let's go to the support center. We want drivers and downloads for the NAB9S. Where it says drivers and downloads, you see it says Wi-Fi and Bluetooth driver? That should be the same Wi-Fi and Bluetooth driver that's in the package. If you want to bet me this is a different driver and it's actually the one we needed and they failed to put the right one in the driver package, now it's a very easy fix. All you got to do is take the drivers you already got, recompile them back into this driver package and put it back up on the server. It'll take 2 minutes of your time. And I've told them this and they tell me I'm wrong. They say, I forward it to our technical department. They don't agree with you. I'm like, I got a video that proves it. How do you not agree with it? Okay, I tried to help you. Do you want me to do it for you? Because I'll put this in a zip file and upload it so you guys can just put it on the website. But before I get too upset, let's verify. So we just downloaded this, right? It's a really quick download because it's just the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth driver. And let's extract it. Now let's click on it. Is there an installer? There's no installer here. What about these other folders? Do we have any installers here? I don't see anything called install or setup. These are literally just drivers. So, you know, look, Minisforum could do a little bit more with customer service to make this more understandable to an end user. So what we could do is just double click on the network controller, go to update driver, browse my computer, we'll browse to the downloads folder, and we'll get this driver folder right here, the one, we don't have to select anything under it. Let's see if it finds it. Oh, it found something. See how long it's taken? There it is. See this generic Bluetooth adapter? We double click on that one. Go to driver. Update, oh sorry, it's under general. Is it general? No, it's driver. Update driver. Browse. It keeps our last browse location, so just next. See how long it's taking? It found it. That's what the driver package install.bat is supposed to do, and it's not working because it's probably the wrong driver. And they've done this with other models, and I need to start taking notes because I can't remember one model from the next. So that's it for the drivers. Once we've restarted this computer now, we go back to the device manager, everything's going to look perfect. When we come back up, we're going to go ahead and run Crystal Disk Info and Crystal Disk Mark. That means I'm going to need my utilities flash drive. I don't mind if people have questions about, you know, finding drivers for their machines, because Minisforum isn't alone with providing the wrong drivers or not providing installs or instructions for the drivers. I don't know why. As big as Minisforum is, I expect better from them. That doesn't mean I'm not going to buy their product. Like with B-Link, they've gotten so bad with drivers, you're pretty much on your own. You're abandoned by B-Link. Minisforum won't abandon you. If you reach out to their support, they will email you the drivers and instructions. They will. I just feel like, why should you make your customers do that when you could just provide them yourself? It's like when you really, really like somebody, but they do something they shouldn't be doing, and you're just a little disappointed because other than that, you know, you admire them, but that one thing, like maybe they got an alcohol problem or they just can't stop smoking cigarettes, and you're like, man, it's the last thing I expect from this person. They do everything else so amazingly, lead by example, but just that one thing. That doesn't mean I'm not their friend anymore, but they could be so much better. And for one reason or another that doesn't make sense to me, they choose not to. And it is a choice. All right, let's plug in my USB utilities flash drive. And again, we're going to check our device manager and make sure everything is happy now. Now, some of the drivers may be out of date. Oh, what's this? Unknown device. For that one, I can just click Update Driver and browse my downloads directory. Or here, just the main drivers directory. Click OK, and that should take care of whatever that is. That was the Intel Serial I/O GPIO adapter. That makes sense. Why that's not part of Intel's chipset driver, I don't understand, but I'm sure there's a technical reason for it. I would still do the Intel driver and update assistant just to get the latest version, but now everything's loaded and it will work. So let's go to the flash drive. And by the way, this resolution is killing me. Put that back to where it was. Oops, I didn't want that. I want 1920 by 1080. Keep those changes. Then we're going to go to the flash drive, which should be right there. And let's see, I always like to put VLC on these. Whoops. VLC. I like to run Uncle Carey's Windows Optimizer. Come on now. Then under PC testing PC testing software, we'll grab Cinebench for later. I'll grab Crystal Disk Info. I'll grab Crystal Disk Mark. I grab HWI, that's to monitor the temps when Cinebench is running. And then CPU Z, just in case I want. And that's everything off my flash drive that I need. And we can eject the flash drive. We're done with that. And that can go back in my drawer. And we'll go to Crystal Disk Info and see what it tells us about the NVMe drive on this machine. Give that a second as it's analyzing. So YMTC, don't know who that is. Some Chinese manufacturer, and it's Gen 4x4. Been powered on 11 times, and for a total of 15 hours, so it's brand new. It's in good shape, temperature looks good. If you get temperatures in the upper 60s or low 70s, you're in trouble. All right, Crystal Disk Mark, where are we? So how well does this drive perform? Gen 4 drives can hit up to 7,300 megabytes per second on their sequential reads. Whoops. I don't expect that high-end performance on a pre-installed drive from a major manufacturer unless it's a really expensive computer, which this is not. And I expect somewhere above 5,000. Oh, well, that tells you about my expectations, doesn't it? That's a high-end Gen 4. But we should also see equally some pretty good writes of around 6,000 or better. So let's let that run. And while it runs, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer your questions. What I will do after the show is I will download the Intel driver and support assistant and let it. There's probably new Wi-Fi. Well, no, it's not Intel Wi-Fi. There's probably new Intel graphics drivers since Minisforum probably doesn't give us the latest ones. And Windows Update doesn't give us the latest ones. 3 different versions from 3 different sources in all likelihood. And the original source is going to always have the latest 100% of the time. Intel will always have the latest drivers at Intel. That doesn't mean the older drivers don't work. They work fine. The newer drivers work better. At least in theory. Depends how you use your computer if you notice any difference. You want to wait until you need it and be reactive? Or do you just want to put the latest drivers in right out of the gate and be proactive and not deal with it? Your choice. Costs you the same. It's completely free if you can put the effort in. And the effort is pushing a few keys and clicking the mouse. So I to each their own on that. Ona FB says, my Minisforum G7 Ti thermal throttles and spikes heavily in hardware info, even at idle. However, the general temp stays around 70. Is this a problem? And love from France. Well, 70, are you referring to the temperature of the NVMe? Or are you referring to the temperature of the CPU? The CPU can easily hit 100 degrees Celsius. And then I would be worried if it was staying there. But have you reached out to Minisforum support and just asked them what their opinion on that is? Because I'm not sure what your point of reference is. In general, if your computer's not having a problem, then there's nothing for you to fix. If you're running diagnostic software looking for problems, you're going to find problems you don't have. That's a psychological problem. So if your computer runs fine and you don't have any issues with it, but you're trying to find issues with it, you could end up with issues with it. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. If you're asking me, is that normal? I don't know. Minisforum can tell you if that's normal. And their support is free. Just email them. Now look at our numbers here. It's 6,400 on the writes and 7,000 on the reads. That's way better than I was expecting. And this is what I try and do. I try and bring you both the positive and the negative. As much as I like Minisforum, I can still find things to complain about. I can complain about anything. But they're this close. Like, why couldn't you just be bothered to fix your drivers? They got most of them right. Why couldn't they get that? And when I tell them, they push back instead of saying thank you. And I'm like, you want me to do it for you? It's not a big deal. I can do this for you. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I'm just like, I'd like to see it done, even though I'm not getting paid to do it. That's what it means to me, to help the community, your customers that you don't think need to be helped, and you want to let your support employees deal with these emails. I'm also thinking of your support employees that are getting emails. I'm sure they're getting them. It says, how do I install my Wi-Fi and my Bluetooth driver? They don't go in. But I don't work for them, so I don't see how many emails come in like that. And I wouldn't be surprised that the people that work in the support department are saying, hey, we got the wrong drivers, and they push back the same on them that they're doing to me and saying, shut up and do your job. They don't tell that to me, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to hear it, or there's a communication barrier when what we're speaking is being translated incorrectly to the engineers, and the engineers are getting the wrong information. So that's why I'm like, do you want me to just do it for you? I'll compress the file and upload it to Google Drive, and you can download it. And just tell your engineers, and it should be much easier to translate, change the driver to this package it's already done. But do you want to trust me to represent your company? How do you know I didn't put spyware in there or manipulate a virus or something? That's why you really need to do it yourself. And if you can't be bothered to do it yourself, then your support team's getting a lot of emails, and your customers are having trouble that they don't need to be having. So why wouldn't you? And they say, well, we don't see a problem. Okay. Did you look at my video? Explain it to me. And then that's where the communication stops and the subject changes. I don't want to ruin a friendship in the contacts I have at Minisforum. But I'm also not going to sit there and, with the emperor's new clothes, have them walking around naked and say, yeah, that new silk you've got is beautiful, when they're not wearing anything at all. I won't. There's a limit between where our friendship lies and where honesty is. So I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. And when I'm letting you know something, I'm doing it to help you. I'm not doing it to insult you. So to push back, all they should say is thank you and we'll look into it. That's it. And if they just don't do anything, then I'll say, apparently they're procrastinating or they're just giving me lip service. I'm still going to complain until it's done. In the meantime, their support has to deal with it. Their customers have to deal with it until somebody in charge there wants to get it done. It's not like they don't know. I've told them, and I'm sure customers have told them. It's maddening because it's almost a perfect whole setup. Warranty is good, price is good, quality is good. What the hell's going on with the drivers? And it's inconsistent. One model has all the right drivers and they're perfect. Another model doesn't. And that's why I can't remember which ones are which anymore. I need to start making notes. But then on the other hand, I don't work for them. That's not my job. And when I offer it to them, they push back. So I'm discouraged and then I won't do it anymore. Anyway, nothing I can't fix myself, but I just feel bad for the unknown thousands of customers they have and the unknown number of support requests they get that were completely avoidable. Not my problem. I just want to make it right. It's just who I am. But it does require their cooperation. And usually they're very cooperative, but not on anything that corrects them. They don't want to. They're technical, not the PR people. The technical people, whether it's a translation problem, they refuse to accept anything. It comes across as arrogant and obtuse. What do you think my motivation is here? I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. I'm trying to help you. And it's like they push back, like, we don't need your help. Okay, well then explain this video to me. If you don't need my help, explain what am I doing wrong to get this driver installed? Just watch the video. Oh, we watched the video. We didn't see anything wrong. Then you did not watch the video. Come on. And that's, at some point it's like I'm wasting my time. And I wish I could say that was only one company that's doing this. They're this close to being perfect. And it just takes a little bit of effort to get them there, and they don't want to hear it. I guess. I don't know. Can anybody explain that to me? Sorry, I tried to help you. All right, let's go back over to the full screen here. We'll save our results file, save image to, let's call Crystal Discord. Save that as a JPEG, and we'll put it on the desktop. And then just for fun, let's just grab that Intel driver assistant and see what it wants to do. We have to allow this, or the driver assistant won't work. This runs in the browser, and it doesn't update chipset drivers, but it will update any network card drivers, video drivers, Wi-Fi. In our case, again, we don't have Intel Wi-Fi or Intel Bluetooth. Some machines do. So depending on how that machine was built at the factory, which model it is, and what parts were available at the time, that may be why the driver package contains other manufacturers' Wi-Fi drivers. Or they were just being lazy and copied and pasted, which is more than likely what really happened. But nonetheless, you have full control of this and you don't need their cooperation. Now that we've installed it, we can close these other tabs because we don't need this. We only need the last one here. And it's scanning the system and it's looking at what drivers we have and what versions against its database for those categories that it covers, which again is not all Intel categories. So it's basically telling us only the graphics driver is updated. So we can install that very quickly. But if we scroll down, you'll see we get all the details of the BIOS version here. You can see details of the processor. You can get details of the NVMe drive. There's the make and model. And then the specifications right in here. It's almost like CPU-Z, like with the memory. What does it tell us? We don't get speed or manufacturer, but we do see, the stats on it. The MediaTek card, again, it doesn't provide drivers, but it can look at the data in the registry for those drivers and just present it to you here. Go back up. That it was already downloaded. Let's hit install. This thing has been completely silent this whole time. Like, I don't hear a fan at all. This will unpack the installer. Will unpack. That's what it's doing right now, and then it extracts. And then once extracted, it'll start the installation. In just a moment, that'll come up here with, where we got to click next and agree to the license agreement. Let me move this out of the way. I don't want this Intel Computing Improvement Program. You might choose it if you want to, but that's just to analyze the installer or any crashing to be auto-reported anonymously back to Intel. Again, just know that that's a safe box to uncheck if you want to. You can even do a clean install if you've done a bunch of installs and you're worried it might be getting a little clogged up. But this is our first install on this, so aside from what we got from Windows Update, we never installed the one for Minisforum. This is why. We could have, wouldn't have hurt anything, it just would have been a process we're undoing the minute we put this on, because this is going to undo the one we got from Windows Update, which is also out of date. Otherwise, this would not have been offered to us. Down here it says heat warning. This is not a heat warning for the computer. This is a heat warning for Phoenix, where it shows 115 degrees today. In case you're wondering, these are record-breaking temps for us at this time of year. We have hit temperatures higher, but not on August 2nd. I don't think so. Let me go back to that. Now I'm curious. Oh, there goes our video driver. That's why the screen's turning off and back on again. It takes the current driver out, replaces it, and then activates it. So my question is, this is current Phoenix time right now. If you want to compare it to your clock, if you're wondering what the time difference is between us, well, we're live here right now. And let's see. Oof. Yeah, it's hot even in San Diego, Los Angeles, Tucson. Ooh. Flagstaff even has a heat warning at 88 degrees way up north in the mountains. That's crazy. What is the hottest temp recorded in Phoenix on August 2nd? The hottest recorded temperature on August 2nd was 2 degrees cooler than it is today. And that was last year. So last year to this year, on the same day last year, we broke a record. This year we broke it again at 115. Woohoo, let's celebrate. 113 also occurred in 2008, 1995, 1934, and 1902. Okay, so it wasn't a record temperature. It actually was a previous record. Hold on, wait, overall, okay, on August 7th last year and August 6th of 1905, it hit 118 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you want to know, 118 F to C Celsius, for those of you outside of the US, is 47.7 degrees Celsius if you want to. If that doesn't give you any empathy for me, nothing will. All right, so it wants us to restart this. So let's go ahead and restart. And let's get back over to camera 1, right down there. And I think it'll wrap it up for today. Hey, there's Colin Hunt joining us. Hey, Colin, he contributes £5 in a super chat. Thank you, Colin. Any last questions? Because the testing I have to do now is going to take a while. That's the Cinebench stuff. And quite frankly, I need a break, so I'll do it later tonight. When the sun goes down, we are reaching peak heat right now in Phoenix. This is about the hottest time of the day, and I ain't going outside. I'm not even going to check the mail until after about 6 or 7 o'clock. The sun doesn't go down until about 8 o'clock, and then I can step outside. I'm part mole man. And at probably 1 o'clock in the morning, it'll still be over 100 degrees tonight. So thank goodness for air conditioning. If your air conditioning breaks in this kind of weather, you could die. And especially if you have any pets, you need to go get a hotel if that's what happens. So that's the end. We're even a very harsh environment here during July and August in particular. And we're only the second day into August. And I got to deal with this pretty much through mid-September, to be honest. But the worst of it is August. Never, ever go to Phoenix in August if you can avoid it. Or Las Vegas. Las Vegas is equally very hot. And they have the Black Hat conference called DEF CON. I've attended it in the past. They're a hacker conference, so they don't take anything but cash. You can't buy tickets in advance. You have to buy the tickets at the door. You have to pay for your own hotel. You have to pay for your own food. They don't want your name. Just show up with cash. Ticket prices at the door in cash are somewhere around $520 or $600 per person in cash at the door in August in Las Vegas every year, and you're responsible for all your own expenses. Too rich for my blood. And I mean, it's a great conference. A lot of fake names are being used because they're disclosing security breaches and hacks. And they have, people that give presentations on how they hack ATM machines. And it's not there to teach you how to do it, but to teach you how to protect yourself from it. How to pick locks, physical locks. There's lock picking competitions as well as presentations. It is a very cool event, and it's meant to educate. Everybody's anonymous. Everybody pays cash at the door. I covered that back around 2005. I think I went in 2004. No, 2006. I had a great time. Good people, fun times. But a company was paying the bills, not me. And I thought it was expensive back then. Phew. But you probably see some DEF CON related content here on YouTube if you look for it after next weekend. I think it's this coming weekend. VX says it's a nice cool 15 degrees Celsius here in northern England at 11:30 at night. Hey, rub it in. Yeah, they're 8 hours ahead. Lit Greenia says, hey, it's 77 degrees Fahrenheit and overcast here in northern Vermont. Wish I was there. You have no idea. All right, let me go full screen here. Again, I want to thank everybody for your contributions. Thank you to all the members. Thank you, Buster. Thank you, Mortant. Thank you, Bill Denton. Thank you, Luke Greenia. Thank you, Frankie B. Mark Gaines. Generosity today has just been amazing, and it blows me away. And I know I'm leaving somebody out. Hold on, let me find you. Who am I forgetting? Frankie B. Bill Denton. Greenia. Mark Gaines. Mortant. I think that got everybody. And the super chats. Thank you for the super chats. Got that screen over here. Thank you, Colin Hunt. Thank you, Rick Lakes. Welcome into membership to Mortant renewed membership. Charles Eslick renewed membership. And our new member today who joined us is Westside Lord. So welcome in, and we look forward to seeing you more often in the chat. Also, Gawun Peter, thank you for your super chat contributions as well. I appreciate you guys so much, and I enjoy hanging out with you and interacting with you. There's Ron Barnish joining us. He says it's 80 degrees where he is in Ohio. Andy saying thank you. Jim Kenny reports 70 degrees Fahrenheit in Kingston. Kingston, Jamaica? Kingston, Canada? Kingston, can't remember where Jim is. There's a lot of Kingstons. Bill Holmes is saying, see you on Monday. Yes, we will be back live for members only on Monday, as we are every Monday. We will do a follow-up part 2 on both Friday's mini PC review and this mini PC review with the benchmark results, and then any other follow-up questions or things I've discovered. Andy said it's 101 degrees where he is in the Southern California mountains. Ooh, it's not good. Bill Holmes says, my only complaint about this case design is it's a bit fiddly to install the NVMe drive. Yeah, how often do you have to do that? Jim Kenny said he's in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. There you go. I was thinking it was Canada. I just wasn't positive. Pretty sure it wasn't Jamaica. Westside Lord said it's supposed to be in the 90s this week here in Indiana. David Herzog says, great live stream as always. Thank you, David. So where was I? Yeah, thank you to Marlena for all the work she does in the background. If you guys want to reach us one more time, put that email address here on the screen. Reach out to us anytime. We love hearing from you. You want to share a story or ask a question? Feel free. We love to hear real experiences from real people. Or if there's anything we can do to help, we will. We're happy to. We may not be able to, but it doesn't hurt to ask. We don't get mad at it. Just reach out. And Boshin Guy says the temp in northeastern Ohio where he is 83. Bill Holmes says 96 Fahrenheit on the Central Valley of Northern California. That's warm for Northern California. That's real warm. Well, there's a big old heat dome that's affecting a lot of people in a lot of places across the US and even around the world. So stay indoors if you can. Be well hydrated. Stay safe. Stay cool. Because we want to see you back here again, happy and healthy. You know, I'm a night owl, so it works perfectly to my schedule. The night is never warmer than the day. Never, not once in my lifetime has that ever happened. I don't think. I'm pretty sure. And it's still too hot at night, but it's a lot more tolerable for me. Otherwise, whatever I've got to do can wait until a cooler day. If it's not later in the day, then it'll be tomorrow or the next day. It doesn't have to be done right now. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody. Well, we'll look forward to seeing the members tomorrow. And then I think I will just continue to do Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays publicly, even if I don't have anything to review or update. I think it's important to keep the schedule, that the show must go on, even if we run short of things to review. The Comet KVM will probably arrive pretty soon, and the Nano KVM, the Go, will probably arrive at the end of the month or beginning of September, based on the updates I'm seeing. As soon as stuff comes in, we're reviewing it immediately. So there's no backlog anymore. We're also expecting a few other devices. I don't know if Ace Magic is sending us back a repaired NAS. We haven't heard back from them. Will we ever? We'll see. We're expecting a couple other tech gadgets that they're kind of on the fence for things we normally review, but because it's so slow right now, I've agreed to take it on. But once again, we're not getting any tracking information. We have no idea. Was it shipped? When can we expect it? This is what companies they're almost all doing it now. So when and if it arrives, I can just tell you within a day or two, we'll have the video. And then Mara will shake her fist at me going, why didn't you give me more notice? And if we don't have anything, we'll still plan on doing the show anyway, and we'll just hang out. You know, if some repair comes in or I have a story to share, that's what the show is going to be. But I decided I will be doing those shows Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, no matter what. Thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing the members tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Try and stay cool, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, bye for now.